we go on the web, right? Because now we have the web. So we search, we put the word netball into Google. It returns a few pages about information about netball. Then we look at the words that appear on those pages frequently. Then we have reason to believe those words are related to the subject of netball. Now, of course, it's a very, very oversimplified point of view. They are actually, if you are smart, you can already ask me a couple of questions. You can say, well, there's a lot of words that appear very often, right? How do you know which word is really useful? Right? That's one thing we can deal with. Another thing, one thing we use to sort of solve this problem is that we only look at the terms that appear in one category but not on others. Right? Quarterback appear in football, it probably doesn't appear in any other sports, for example, as far as I know. And however, score, right? Probably is a word appear in all the sports. So score itself is not useful to distinguish in categories. So and if you are into like artificial intelligence, so on and so forth, there's a word you probably know is called entropy. And this actually directly corresponds to the concept that we are talking about. So we can do some sort of measurement on entropy and to determine right which word belongs to which topic. And actually Joe is doing some of this work. We first started with web pages, but nowadays the web has a much better source of information. How many of you are familiar with Wikipedia? How many of you actually look in Wikipedia for certain things? So these are more organized, more formal, more sort of, contain more concrete information. So we are looking into those sources to look for our keywords. And hopefully, if I come up next time, we'll give you some more results. So we've done some experiments. We picked out 12 different categories, right? It includes things like soccer, baseball, chemistry, energy, economics, political science. Other category about contains recipes, so on and so forth. Computer hardware, computer fonts. The goal here is to have certain categories that are similar, but also other categories that are very different. So we want to see how good they are. For example, soccer and baseball are very, very similar, but baseball and chemistry are probably a bit more apart. Although you always talk about team chemistry. Not that fan of it. So we should probably change it to biology. Right. So, and we take this from Yahoo directory. We want an objective source, and since Yahoo already done this kind of categorization, let's pull them from Yahoo. Right. So for keyword generation, once again, we visit Yahoo directory for now. We look at pages belonging to those categories. Right? If you went to Yahoo, how many of you know about Yahoo directory? Right. Before Yahoo became a search engine, be famous for the search engine, they actually have a directory. So it lists for each category what are the websites. Right. So we find pages belonging to the categories. Right. Now, from our experiment, roughly speaking, half of the terms we discovered are relevant. And for our classifying web result, it turns out, based on these experiments, right now we probably, with generated keywords, we probably hit around 40 to 50% of accuracy. And if we can craft our own keywords, say if we ask some domain expert about what are the important words in certain categories, then we go to 60+% accuracy. So obviously there are some improvement needed, and we are working on various steps to make it better. Yes?
When you do your probing, do you probe with one term at a time, or do you use groups of terms?
We use, for this set of experiment, we use 10 terms and take averages. Now, of course, now we have another problem, right? If you are, say, you have 12 categories, each category has 10 terms, then we have asked 120 queries, right? And if you send 120 queries back to a search engine, what happens? Right? They think you are some bad guy. Right? So we have to be careful about sending those queries. But the good thing is that this is supposed to be an offline step. It is not supposed to be done in real time. So we have time to spare. Okay? And we have some other idea that we're going to incorporate. Like, for example, we haven't divided the categories into hierarchy. If we do that, we probably can do a better job. Now, since 140, so let me give you some brief idea of what we want to do here, and then we'll probably skip the result. Now, so far we talk about one approach. We have this search engine. What category does it belong to? Now, however, we can also look at the problem from another aspect. Right? We can say, I don't care about anything. All I care about is search engine about biomedical information. All I care about is search engines about, say, ASU. All I care about is search engine about, say, computer scientists. Then can we take a different approach to solve that problem? And to do that, we can do what we call a focus crawl. So instead of downloading everything and then classifying later, at the time we crawl, we try to look for things that are relevant and discard things that are irrelevant right off the bat. So let's say, since our experiment is work on biomedical websites, so let's take biomedical website as an example. So we first have a corpus of documents, say about biomedical information, DNA, proteins, diseases, so on and so forth. Then we go on and crawl the web. And we extract the web page, and we try to figure out whether this web page belongs to the subject. If so, then we extract the form and we continue to crawl. If not, then we just simply discard the page. Say, if I extract the page, this page talk about, say, the Memphis Tigers and how dismal their season is. Then it's obviously not about biomedical information. Then we're going to discard it altogether. We don't even follow those links that's being crawled. So this is what we call a focus crawl. Instead of downloading everything and deal with it later, we'll just download the thing we want, and if we find something we don't want, we just throw it away and don't even follow the link over there. So this is sort of our overall structures for our system, right? This is basically where we fetch our web page, and then we send it to a classifier to determine whether it belongs to the subject that we want. So this is sort of the other approach that we're looking at. And we have done some experiment. We use a biomedical corpus. Turns out there are some publicly available corpuses. When I say corpuses, I'm saying about 8,000 articles about biomedical stuff, which you can freely download from the web. And then we pre-process them, and then we build some tool to train the classifier, so on and so forth. And it turns out we've done our experiment. We have some result that we actually produce. We can talk about training the classifier. We train our classifier to figure out what is the right classifier to be used, what is the right parameter. We look at, say, whether our crawl is effective. So for this test, so the pink line denotes our crawler, the blue line denotes a random crawler, just crawl everything. And this measures how relevant pages, how relevant are the pages that we discover. For a random crawl, you see after a few cases, the URL specs are now becoming more and more irrelevant. However, for our crawler, because we are focused, it turns out we can maintain the same level of relevance along when we are crawling along. And we have other results sort of highlighting the effectiveness of our method. So since we ran out of time, we'll skip that for now. And it turns out based on this method, we actually obtain some deep web databases through this on biomedical term. MedLifePlus.gov is basically a government website containing medical information. Let's pick another one. EBI.ac.uk is basically a European website that contains information about proteins and DNA sequence ranges. And other things like genome knowledge probably is self-explanatory, talk about genomes. Right. So as a sort of quick summary, we want to highlight the deep web is important. The web is important, but there's a large part of the web which we call the deep web that we haven't really explored enough. And our goal is to develop a tool to automatically search the web. We have focused our current work on the crawler. We are ready to start on the other phases of the project. And we have done two types of crawlings, the classification-based and topic-specific crawl, which is useful in different circumstances. And we are continuing work on this, as Joe is a very bright student with us that's working on this, and we have some other students too. So we hope that at the end we hope that by the end of the semester we actually put something on our website that you can actually search. So that's our goal. If not search, at least we can browse. So hopefully you see something later on in the semester. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you want to know more, feel free to drop by my website. You can go to the U of M website and follow the faculty link. And so for this, we will stop here. And any questions? Yes.
You mentioned travel websites, and you also mentioned at one point about the fact that other formats of all these websites are different. Do you have any hope of being able to make that I can make an automated query about a travel that I want to go somewhere and get a hotel, and have it make requirements of make it queries of all these other engines in an automated way?
Very good question. Actually, it turns out, remember I earlier talked about there's a group in Illinois who is studying this kind of thing. They actually have some study and have some empirical evidence saying that for a certain topics, different search sites are not that different. Okay. They actually have done research, and I think they use travel website as an example, trying to build an automatic tool for each of the travel website automatically extract what is being so which field input what. So when you say I want to find a hotel in Memphis in December 31st, they can really automatically fill in all the details. And there is actually, they are, I think, from Illinois Champaign. If you go to their computer science website, I think there is a group doing this kind of work, and there's quite a few papers you can download and save. So for a specific domain, it's probably not going to be too hard. And we are sort of challenging in the sense that we want to do more than a specific domain. Any other questions? Hopefully I'm not still the one between you and Lisa. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.